I jump away from the screen and unplug the PC. What the devil? That's when I catch a glimpse of my reflection. I scream. Oh shit, we're one of them. I run to the phone and take out the SIM, throw it on the floor, and crush it. I put the remnants with some paper in a cup and set it on fire. It smells terrible, but I don't care. There are only ashes left. I throw them in the trash dump. I get rid of my PC along with all of its data. I'll start collecting work materials from scratch. On a new PC. I wanted to throw the money away, but I'd rather donate it to the church. The next day, my reflection was back to normal. A day completely offline. But after a few months, I think I'm ready to return to Twitter. I even created a new account, @myendlesssongO. After everything that happened, I noticed that I wonder if that @ is actually a real @ for this game on Twitter. I would love to know. Editor, maybe check? I might check later, but I probably will forget. Editor, please check. Please!
Computer says yes.
But I miss talking to my mutuals. I miss having a place to share my thoughts and get feedback. That's a double-edged sword of... That really does kind of square it up to what social media is. If you have any sort of like circle or following or anything like that, however small or however big, we crawl back to it because at our core, humans are very social creatures. We really are. And day to day, we can only interact with so many people. And I guess that depends on where you live. That depends on what your occupation is. That depends on, you know, a lot of other variables kind of like draw into that entire thing. But like, I think all of us have had like breaks from online, and we eventually will return back to our online area, our online safe space or whatever. It's for a bunch of different reasons. Like, it's hard to actually verbally explain, but like the whole, oh, well, I have my personal, you know, Twitter, and that's just for family and friends, and that's for, you know, talking about what's going on in day-to-day life and trying to share thoughts and expressing that kind of thing and like going back and forth with people. Or I have this troll account and I like to poke people on it, and I like to, you know, shitpost memes. And I have this other account that's like for my hobbies, like I do beadwork, or I do, you know, fashion stuff, or I like to draw, or that kind of stuff. And it's really hard to disconnect, but at the same time, we live in a world now where to a certain degree you really can't disconnect. Like, if you think about it, you really can't. And it doesn't matter if you are an office worker or if you are a YouTuber. Like, you're gonna have varying degrees of social media and other things that you have to kind of learn how to balance in certain ways. So I think it's kind of funky that this game is pulling that entire vibe. It's not straight up going, the internet is evil. I'm getting the vibe that it's doing the whole, you know, it really is a balance. There's a lot of good people and there's a lot of bad people, and unfortunately kind of highlights a lot of the shit attitudes that we see. In the end, I forced myself to go to the funeral. A sight as pitiful as his last year. Not sure if I'm going to visit my ex's grave. Oh, that's the end of it. I can't read any of this. You didn't... Oh, the achievement. You didn't click on the monitor. So if I click on the monitor, will something happen? I'm going to save that on the second slot. Whales fly through the cage of time. So wait, I could have clicked... End of the first scenario. So wait, you can click on stuff? You guys can't see the pointer because it's not, I'm recording it where you can't see it, but I was clicking on the text bubbles because that's where I tend to default. I kind of want to load up the other one and see what happens if I press the monitor. I'm going to press the monitor this time.
2 minutes later.
Oh, I clicked on the monitor. Oh! Oh god! What the fuck? Okay, editor's gonna have to do some shit. I'm going full screen on this bitch. I'm gonna save this. Oh, I took away our saves! What? Okay, this is new. I guess I'll save it right here. I hope this is recording fine. Oh, shit. Oh my god. Oh, the music is so loud. I had it really loud before because it was quiet. I didn't turn this bitch down. Holy fuck. What? What? Okay, that was fucking weird. That was really weird. The screen's probably gonna jump to looking different because editor's gonna have to do whatever editor magic he has to do to basically fit it so it's aesthetically pleasing. That was really weird. That was really fucking weird. The top of the game window says Hunter. Before it didn't have anything. It was just like a clean game load up. I was always into things that are different. Not exactly weird, but different. Outside of common understanding. Outside of the norm. This yearning led me through my life. If what's happening to me now can even be called life. Because of my interest, I became an anthropologist. Because of it, I found my wife. And it stayed with me, even after things fell apart. Everything was fine at first. I studied culture and psychology of certain people from medieval times. The subjects I chose were so specific that very few people had investigated them, yet they were peculiar enough to gain attention. I was rather good at presenting myself and my research, so funding wasn't a problem. I gave lectures at a university and some quote-unquote popular science events, and worked a part-time at a private school. I soon found myself having a lot of contact in university circles and among young intellectuals. I married an avid artist specializing in book illustrations who was into goth metal, avant-garde, and not committing to anything or anyone. When she was in the mood, she even joined my ventures into the depths of beliefs of people long gone. I even started thinking of a career in writing, but it can't be that good, right? I wasn't even going anywhere in particular. Just a car accident when I was driving back from a grocery store. The road was too slippery, I guess. Luckily, my wife was at home and nobody got hurt except for me. My body was paralyzed almost entirely. I could move only my left hand and my head. It was a nightmare. I couldn't live the way I used to. The simple act of going from one place to another became more difficult. What's worse, my wife refused to let me go and was taking care of me. I found it cute considering her usual traits, but I was frustrated to see her wasting her life because of me. I stopped visiting friends and parties and almost stopped giving lectures. Wow, that's fucking sad. Even doing my research became difficult. I was thinking about ending it all, but family was rather religious, so I couldn't. I just couldn't. Maybe it's a mere excuse for my cowardice. Either way, I needed something to occupy my time, to distract me. My wife hid all the alcohol, never mind the drugs. I tried reading books and watching movies, but it wasn't enough. The thoughts were still here, haunting me, always there, whispering in my ear. I pressed on though. What else could I do? Then one day, after dozens of bleak flicks, oh my god! Editor's gonna turn this down, but this shit loud! Then one day, after dozens of bleak flicks with cut and paste stories, I finally watched a movie I really liked. I can't remember its name now, but back then I was in awe. I went to OMDB to find some info on it and found out the movie was universally hated. I checked the reviews to see what people disliked, started looking through them. False expectations, misunderstandings, ignorance, presenting subjective opinions as objective truths. Nothing new. But one review really got to me. This person was just ignorant. They were aggressively ignorant and spiteful. I was so outraged that I went ahead and wrote a comment in an expressive manner explaining why they're wrong. I was only able to type with one hand, but it actually helped. I had more time to think about what I was writing. I fucking love this music! They replied quickly. Obviously, they didn't want to agree. I spent the next several hours arguing online, and it was great. There was nothing in my world aside from me, my argument, and my opponents. One or two people who also commented on the review and apparently were subscribed to comments joined in. I was finally passionate about something and no longer wanted to die. Of course, it meant that I was arguing with strangers online, an act that I would have deemed pathetic not too long ago, but I didn't have a choice anymore. The next day, I created several throwaway accounts, set up a VPN, and dived into this restless world. Holy shit! That sort of went from 0 to 100. It was fun. Since the people who participated in such things are quite peculiar, I got almost scientifically interested in their reasoning and possibly diagnosing their mental illness. They were people like me too, restless, almost always online. I met some of them in different places around the net. Eventually I formed some vague semblance of friendship with some of them. Then one day, way after midnight, one of them made me an offer. So is this the guy behind it then? Or is this the guy that passed it on to our original ex-boyfriend? I'm very curious. It sounded like some cult nonsense, but sure, I'll bite. My pride was long gone, and I was curious. I wanted to know more. It definitely felt like cultist ramblings. That's what I was saying. Some mighty interdimensional beings exist in our world, but only in digital form. It's like they're projections of themselves into our world from theirs, or shadows, or distorted copies. They feed on human emotions. These beings want to consume the strong feelings poured into the net. So the cultists, people who are digitized by these creatures, help them find newcomers. People who pour a lot of emotions into the internet. So trolls and shit. In exchange for producing food for them 24/7, they gain immortality and the power to control many things on the net. However, the elusive home world of these beings is still out of reach, even to their followers. Not even a glimpse for humans. It sounded like nonsense, but for some reason I was ready to believe it. The story reminded me of an incident that occurred when I worked at a private school. I was going back from work. A girl who worked there as a teacher was sitting on the stairs, seemingly distressed. She was mumbling something about digital people trying to ruin her and so on. When I asked what happened, she said she was fired up because of her ex joining some sort of cult. I thought she was high or something. She looked like someone who would do that at work. Purple hair, torn jeans. Oh my god, it's her, you know? So I said something encouraging and walked away. She didn't care. But when I heard about the cult, things started to make sense. At least I understood how far it reached. When I asked, so what do I need to do? The answer was quite peculiar.
You need to get rid of your mortal body. The continuously consumed process no sees data from stations controlled by us, and the same data needs to transition faster. Your mortal body will probably dissolve during the process. Many centuries complete geographical remain in this world.
I was hesitant to believe that, but curious indeed. Remembering that story with my colleague sure made it more intriguing. I was willing to check it out. Okay, I'm in. Can you deliver the SIM card to my house discreetly?
Alright, just give me your address and date.
I provided my address and set the delivery for a week later. I'm still ashamed I shared such information so easily. I was consenting to anything that could happen, but I forgot that my wife lives here too. They could just barge in and bad things could happen. I panicked at first trying to edit or delete the message, but I forget that things don't disappear from the net so easily. There was no edit button, and deleting the message would erase it from my history but not theirs. It was the first time I truly panicked since the accident. Strangely enough, my limited ability to move or act hastily helped me to calm down rather quickly. I thought my limitations would fuel the panic, but no. Maybe I was getting used to it. I persuaded a friend of mine in another country to call my wife away to some kind of important art event for a few weeks. He was a pretty big deal in the art world. It was difficult, but I managed to persuade her to leave me here. I had to agree to have a caretaker though. She insisted that the caretaker should be a man too. I do think she was still jealous, which is cute considering my circumstances. The caretaker was rather nice. He looked like he could fight in a possible home invasion, or at least I hoped he could. So my wife packed her things and I left. Nothing particular happened until the package arrived at the promised time. I told the caretaker that I ordered some stuff for my phone. He didn't ask any questions. When he left the room, I unpacked it. Hey look, believe in the net! Strangely enough, it was packed in a way that would be easy for me to open. I didn't tell them anything about my condition. In the small box was an envelope. The sign on it read, "Believe in the net." Cute! I installed the SIM card on my phone. They promised the ascension will pass without any struggle for you. I don't know what they meant or what I expected, but it was strange. The mobile network said eFoodNet, but at first, nothing changed. Even when my body started to dissolve, I felt nothing, both physically and mentally. I mean, of course I freaked out at first, seeing lines of my body blurring, but I soon found myself worrying more about how I'd hide it from the caretaker. Should I hide in my room, faking a depressive episode? Should I give him sleeping pills? Ask those guys to lure him away, faking an accident with someone in his family? I decided to task those cultists with luring him away, and I calmed down completely. Yeah. The fact that I was so indifferent actually bothered me. It was the out-of-the-ordinary experience I always dreamt of, and yet, until this day, I wondered maybe I died in that car crash. Maybe everything after was just a fever dream, or an endless vision of the afterlife. Maybe you, to whom I tell these stories, don't even exist. I guess I'll never know. They got the caretaker to leave due to some family circumstances. Honestly, I don't know what they arranged. In 2 days, my body changed drastically and my vision became blurry, like a dark fog appearing before my eyes. It got thicker and thicker, and eventually it covered my eyes entirely. Last thing I saw was a computer screen through the fog. What a beautiful farewell to the mortal world. The new world was not what I was expecting. I retained my consciousness, memories, and personality seemingly without any changes. But I was data now, and I could only perceive other data and traverse from server to server. I had the ability to control anything on the internet. At first, I was in awe. Everything they told me was true. I declined my weak, almost non-functional human body and became something more powerful. Ascended to the new realm, where powerful beings dwell among the undying flow of information. I could perceive data faster than any human. Finally free, able to travel as fast as electricity, and a whole new world full of strange and unusual things for me to investigate, with beings akin to gods lurking somewhere in the endless oceans of data. Sometimes I felt them passing by on the same servers as me, a strong, weary presence. To this day, I don't know how I could feel a presence in the digital world. I was just a bunch of numbers, and yet I could. Maybe it's because of my soul. Maybe a soul can be digitized too. This is a fucking Black Mirror episode, what the hell? Maybe it's the immortality of the soul we were promised by ancient prophets, but data can be deleted. Does that mean that both souls and gods can be destroyed then? Actually, feeling the presence wasn't the only proof of my soul being here that I got on my first day of a new life. Soon after a bit of getting used to this world, I started stalking my wife. All those powers, all those mysteries, and I was just following her life. Reading all her messages and posts, watching all the cameras that spotted her on her laptop, on her phone, on the streets, in cafes, and dressing rooms and bathrooms. Yeah, those places have more cameras than you'd think. Joke's on you, buddy. I already assume there's cameras fucking everywhere. Seriously, I don't understand the people who get surprised that there's basically cameras everywhere you go. Like, legitimately. You go anywhere outside, you're gonna be filmed from some way. It baffles my mind. I don't know if it's people are that trusting of like other entities and stuff. Maybe I'm just super paranoid, but I basically grew up my parents were really good at teaching me about, I don't want to say security, but like we were always my siblings and I are very aware that you are watched. Like you are, there are cameras maybe where you wouldn't expect there to be cameras type of thing. Not to a degree of being paranoid, but just facts. I mean, walking down the street, walking into a shop, walking out of a shop, you're being spotted by like a handful of cameras. That's when I decided I'd had enough observing.
Yeah.
There's so many memes!
And I'm the one who told you these stories.
She drew her gun and aimed it with shaking hands. Fuck it. I'm going back.
They weren't happy.
Spooky.
Time.